Good afternoon, Super Metroid fans. This is it. Game 2 of the Super Metroid Any Percent Grand Finals as part of SG Live 2024. We've got ShinyZeni and Oats back in action here. I am the Hockey Towner, joined by the one, the only, the legendary Kip. How's it going, Kip?
Hey, Hockey, I'm doing well. Good to see you, man. Great to be able to chat with you today. Spend a little time watching two absolutely legendary runners of Super Metroid race any percent. Really happy to be here. It's going to be fun. How are you?
Well, my heart's already beating out in my chest, Kip. I'm taking some deep breaths. I've got a paper bag in case I start hyperventilating, because that first race was absolutely phenomenal. It was unlike anything I've seen all tournament.
It was incredible, and I had a moment where I laughed a little bit near the end because I was thinking, neither one of these runners feel like they had, like a perfect race. I'm sure they felt like they made some mistakes and yada, yada, yada. And then you look at the final time and it's like a mid 41 or almost like, how far have we come in tournament racing where two people are running 41s that way? So yeah, very exciting. Looking forward to seeing how it goes this time.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. So I think in the last race, Zeni had a tenuous lead leaving Sirius Station, did not reclaim it until after Draygon with that amazing spark, I should say, spike suit. That's Hockey, use your words. But our runners still have to get off Sirius Station. And Kip, we discussed a little bit the ramifications, kind of the way that these races can play out, the different circumstances. Before we got started today.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, if Zeni wins this race, he will win the opening best of 3, 2-0, and then it will be pushed to a bracket reset that is going to be a best of 1, and the winner would take all. If Oats were to win this race, we would go to a game 3, and if he were to win that race after winning game 2, he would win the championship. If he were to lose, it would still push it to that bracket reset. So not this particular race is actually not do or die for either runner, but if Zeni were to take it, it would push us into a really tense final game.
Oh yeah, I think ideal circumstance for Zeni would be to sweep the best of 3 and carry that momentum into the decisive best of 1. So yeah, Oats, despite being the winners finals winner, is playing from behind a little bit here, but does have the better circumstance where he does just have to win the next 2 races to kind of do a reverse sweep of Zeni. But chat, we're heading down to the surface of the planet Zebes to pursue that baby Metroid. And Kip, we've seen it probably thousands of times, but this early game should not be overlooked. There's definitely some interesting strats we're going to see.
No, Super Metroid is actually there are so many things about speedrunning Super Metroid that I personally find very interesting and fascinating. One of the things is that there are a lot of games where maybe the opening sections of the run are not necessarily like the most difficult. I actually feel like a lot of the most complexity that happens can be near the beginning. The beginning of the game, as good as these two players are at it, are not easy. If you're learning to speedrun Super Metroid, there's actually parts, in my opinion, in the middle or even late game that are easier than some of the earlier parts. So it's pretty cool to see that. Another thing about this that I find very interesting is, and this has been talked about a little bit, my personal favorite thing about Super Metroid speedrunning is racing, because it's one thing to throw yourself at PB attempts repeatedly and be able to reset 100 times. When you're in a race scenario with hundreds, if not thousands of people watching and you can't reset, it really puts a different type of mental stress. So I always find it fascinating how players respond to that.
Oh, no question about it, Kip. There's so much more pressure, especially now kind of in the modern Super Metroid tournament. We do have cash prizes now. I mean, that's something that was, unheard of 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So it's really, really interesting to see how far the game has come. But our runners do have journeyed down here to Old Brinstar, Blue Brin, as it were, to grab that missile pack and that morph ball. And like Kip said, the early game is some of the most challenging movement. We saw some really clean weaving moonfalls there down the reverse climb, but now we're going to see the forward climb and some really tight wall jumps.
Yeah, that was a really, really clean room there by both players.
I mean, just look at this, just keeping those wall jumps tight on that right side all the way up the climb, avoiding all the space pirates into the parlor. So Zeni maintaining the lead here as we head for the first mini boss of the route, which is going to be Bomb Torizo. Bomb Torizo, a little bit of a finicky boss. Kip, I know that they got open with 5 shots, and they got to kind of fan out those missile pickups.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, you got to understand, even though I've been speedrunning this game a long time, a lot of times you just know how stuff works without knowing the math behind it. Sometimes you forget. But I think every regular shot does 20 damage. You want to do 5 to get to 100. And then after that, all the missiles are 100 each, and you're trying to get like an even number of hits. So I think normally they shoot like 4 and then 1 at the end, and then Zeni's going to try to wrap it up here with 3. Boom.
Wow. Yeah, that was incredible bombs time, 438 for Zeni, and a really nice fight. Ooh, Oats getting scammed, does have to wait for more pickups.
Wow.
No pickups? Oh, unable to avoid the decapitation animation, Kip.
Yeah, that was incredibly unfortunate, very unlucky. Basically, I guess it depends on how deep into the Super Metroid technicalities we want to get, but if I recall correctly, I think all of those like bombs that Bomb Torizo shoots out, I think that they actually have a nothing on the drop table, even though it's supposed to be not necessarily a super high percent. And so technically anytime there's a nothing on there, even if you're filled with energy, there's still a chance that missiles won't show up.
Gosh, that is just terrible luck for Oats, unfortunately. But it's still very early. We're in the first 6 minutes of this race. You know, the last race took a mid-41 for both runners. It was sensational to see. But the runners are going to head now down to green Brinstar and execute the very first sequence break of the route, which is the early supers mock ball.
Yep, and actually I just realized I think I could do a better job explaining that. Technically, since he was full on energy, since nothing and missiles are the other 2 things on the drop table, the amount of percentage that energy had gets pushed evenly between the 2, so it actually increases the likelihood of there being nothing.
Increases the likelihood of nothing. Oh, it's going back to grab 2 more missiles here too. Through the door, going to execute this early supers mock ball, but a little high 5 here. So Zeni building on his lead here, Kip, due to kind of some RNG woes and some early mistakes from Oats.
Yeah, the early game not going the way that he would prefer, but again, it's a long run. There's a lot of variance and tight, things coming up here that you can lose time on. So, if you're in this situation, you don't have the start that you want. You just got to kind of hang in there and keep plugging away.
No question about it. Our runners have to dust themselves off, try again, get back in that saddle. If anything comes their way that they don't like, or that would usually elicit a reset, like you said, Kip, at the beginning of the race when they're going for PB attempts. So a little charge beam pickup here. Charge missiles for our runners. We did see both runners elect to do 20 and 10 last race. And it was an interesting choice because I believe Oats most of the time does do 15, but I'm not 100% sure. Chad will probably set me straight. Really nice green hill zone here from Oats, as Zeni now, though, is into red Brinstar. We're covering the whole rainbow of colors for Brinstar here, Chip.
That's right.
Look at this. So a little hero shot here, not electing to go for the ripper skip. It's a I would say a low percentage play, maybe a medium percentage play with it does save a little bit of time here. I'm curious to see what Oats is going to do.
That was a nice deboost off the top plant by Zeni. One thing some people might not be aware of is enemies and terrain can both be deboosted off of, but the amount of window that you have to get the deboost is actually different between the 2 types of things.
It's tighter for enemies, correct?
I believe so, yes.
No wonder I was never good at those.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
So power bomb pickup, that'll be the only power bomb pack our runners pick up since this is any percent. And Zeni already back to the surface of Zebus here in Criteria, and has got to contend with the biggest obstacle so far in PRKD, which is the moat. You got two ways to cross the moat: this continuous wall jump or the horizontal bomb jump as a backup. But we'll see what Zeni can do here. And Oats is hot on his tail. Oh, taking a little bit of a dip there. Backing it up to try again. Oh, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's got an attempt at it for sure.
This is so hard to do the backup. Oh, Zeni unfortunately taking a dip in the moat. This is going to allow Oats to catch up, possibly.
All right, Oats is... Oh, no, Oats did not get a shot at it.
Looks like both of them going to have to use horizontal bomb jumps. Zeni's across. Can Oats get across? Oh, my goodness, Kip. We've got a new race on our hands.
Yeah, the moat is... you know, a lot of times you'll get to the middle of a race or maybe near the end of the race and you kind of are focused on what's kind of happening in the moment. But there are many races where, depending on if any kind of, you know, negative consequences happen at the moat, that could end up being something that is a big decider of the race.
No question about it, Kip. No question about it. The tables can turn that quickly. Although Zeni is still in the lead, just doesn't have that big lead anymore. But Phantoon could change all that for one runner or the other. It all depends on the patterns and their execution.
Yeah, both runners looking, you know, pretty healthy on their missiles. The only way they'd run into missile problems coming into here with 15 would be, even if they got like fast, the only way they'd really run into trouble is if Phantoon just did not give hardly any drops, but that rarely happens in any percent.
Well, we will pray to the RNG gods for our runners here. It does look like a slow pattern for Zeni to open here.
Yeah, both of them got a slow. Oh, Oats, unfortunately, was just knocked off his pattern by... Oh, wow. Go ahead.
No, I'm still recovering.
Yeah, I didn't even have time to explain what happened to Oats, but yeah, that was an incredible fight by Zeni there. Excellent
oh my
job.
goodness, the one round from Zeni. Both runners punished with the slow pattern. Oats having a decent fight. I think that was a 3 or a long 2 pattern, but
it was a good recovery. Yeah.
Yeah. Zeni's like, oh, I fell in the moat. Oh yeah, what's this? Oh my gosh.
Nice job, Zeni, right there heading into that door. That gets often overlooked a little bit, nuanced thing. There's actually a pretty wide range of door correction you can do there, depending on how you approach the initial jump, and he had a really nice one. It wasn't quite a 42, but it was pretty close.
I do love that door correcting. Making corrections to the way the door is loaded is something in this game. It's just, the iceberg is so deep in the movement and the optimization of the speed run. It's really, really terrific.
Oh, Zeni missed that atomic. And now the room is going to be slightly off kilter. He needs to watch out for the key hunter at the end, who's going to path over much closer. Right there. It gets much closer. Yeah, he's fine now, but that room did not go the way that he would have preferred.
It was a nice recovery. He just took it with patience. You know, he was very, very methodical in the way he destroyed the rest of those enemies and was ready and waiting for that key hunter that had shaded over to the right there. Oats having a little bit of difficulty of his own here in the attic, but maybe not as much as Zeni. So
yeah,
maybe.
I'm sorry, Hockey. Go ahead.
Maybe Oats be able to shave maybe a second there.
So I'm just trying to be objective here. That's a really bad mistake that happened to Oats, or it's just a bad circumstance, because if you get hit by the key hunter with the power suit on, you lose a lot of energy. And so it makes his current situation a lot more like he literally can't get across the moat right now. All right, he's gonna have to reload. Yeah, he's gonna have to reload. Like basically the whole. He technically could have employed a series of strats in the attic that would have been slower, but could have gotten him some more energy. But he was just kind of going for the standard thing, and unfortunately got hit.
For sure, but does have enough energy to cross bowling here, taking damage off of those spikes. But Zeni grabbing that gravity suit, gonna have friction-free movement through the water, protection from superheated rooms, but we will be seeing that Varia suit for you Varia suit fans out there, but we will be seeing that later on. Our runners are going to now need to make a beeline to Norfair. And so, Kip, I know you're familiar, like that first corridor in Upper Norfair is called the Business Center, but our very own Twin Mo has expanded on it and refers to all of Upper Norfair as the shopping center, because our runners are going to be going on a shopping spree, grabbing all these movement items and all these beams in Norfair.
That makes sense to me. In particular, it's like when you get to Speed Booster, it's like finding out that there's a sale on the other side of the mall, and then you speed walk over to the wave beam. I'm with you, Twin. I got you.
The lore! We are assembling more lore in real time. Oh my goodness, Kip. This is fantastic stuff. Oh my gosh. But yeah, terrific movement from these runners. They, like you said, Kip, the mental challenge of racing, especially in more than one race series, you just gotta turn the brain off. You gotta reset the hands, and just hopefully just push on through and forget about previous mistakes.
There's that. There's also an extra wrinkle here that happens occasionally where basically the way Super Metroid works, I'm sure there are other games like this, but based on the fact that Super Metroid is centered around resource management, like it's not just how fast you can move, you have to move, but also manage other elements along the way. And when you hit a situation in a run, like Oats has, for example, like it's not just what happened in Attic, it's what happened after, and he's still dealing with it. Like, look at his current missiles versus super missiles versus whatever. If he presses item select one time right now, it's going to go to super missile.
Right.
So there are so many things that can happen in a one-run scenario where you're not allowed to reset that are like far, far out of your muscle memory. And sometimes it's small stuff, sometimes it's big stuff. But basically, like, because he can't stop, he has to just adjust.
No, for sure, for sure. It just kind of, like you said, throws everything off just a little bit. But Oats, being the world record holder, is certainly no stranger to adverse conditions or scenarios. But Zeni is just, I echo chat's sentiment. Zeni is just cooking right now, Kip. He is mixing it up in the pan. He's flipping it. He's cooking it right now.
He totally is. And let's also be realistic real quick. Oats is not having the run that he preferred at the moment, and yet he's probably still going to finish it faster than I ever have. So let's keep it real about how good both of these players are.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Zeni's really cooking right now. He's probably feeling pretty comfortable. Just needs to stay in the zone and keep working.
Chad asking, was Zeni's 1 round mid? It was a 1 round slow, but probably the fastest slow pattern you've ever seen, you know. But my goodness, this is something. So yeah, going back to, you said about speed walking to the other side of the mall. We are on the, I guess the west side of the mall here, Kip, but we're doing, it's BOGO beams and BOGO movement items. Over on the west side, we get the high jump boots and the ice beam. Over on the east side of Upper Norfair, we get the speed booster, we get the wave beam.
Hey man, everybody loves a buy one get one.
Absolutely. It's looking like, I can't say the name of the company, but it's looking like that very popular membership only place where you can buy a lot of things.
That's right.
Take your pick, Chad.
For sure. The room that Zeni just left a couple rooms ago, Oats is now leaving it. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's the room where you get that ice escape back into that long hallway. I've always found that to be a really cool looking room, and also just kind of a fascinating one in terms of Super Metroid speedrunning, because using that ice beam to freeze an enemy to get a little bit longer of a runway to get enough speed to do a mock ball, you know, it's like all the cool things kind of coming together that Super Metroid has to offer.
For sure, for sure. Taking advantage of enemy position, freezing with that ice beam, utilizing that mock ball. Oats having a really nice ice escape there. And now they have to climb to the top of Bubble Mountain and dethrone King Kak, which Zeni has done. Oats, though, about to head into the cathedral. So still has some time to make up on Zeni, but anything can happen in Lower Norfair. Lower Norfair is a treacherous section of this game.
100%, and especially in 80%, there's just a lot of ways that things can go wrong. So you know, got to stay locked in. Don't want to be throwing away any kind of lead that you might have.
Yeah, I think Zeni would prefer to just, you know, build and expand on this lead without, you know, without running too close to the wall, you know, because it's like, you know, you can't rely on your opponent to make mistakes to allow you to win, but you also, you know, you don't have to pull out all the stops if you're able to maintain this type of lead.
That's right. Also, I want to shout out Oats had a really nice strat in Bubble Mountain there, where he just ran straight across and did a really tight delayed wall jump to get up there straight away. That's a really tough strat. That was nicely executed.
Yeah, I think Oats is starting to gain some momentum here. Definitely putting those previous mistakes behind him. Able to capitalize some really nice movements so far, like leaving that bat cave. But we will be seeing pretty soon from both of these runners, Zeni first, a very difficult strat that both runners nailed in the first race. That is the lava spark, and that is the one of two ways in Phantoon first to get up to the entrance to Ridley's lair. So very tight strat.
I really like how the upper Norfair music is just sort of atmospheric and kind of daunting, and listening to it right before you head down to lower Norfair.
Setting the stage.
That's right.
Oh, so Zeni unfortunately does not get to store that short charge. We'll have to use a backup strat, which is the gravity jump. And this has more downsides than just taking longer. It has...
Ooh.
Oh, gonna have to do it twice here. But I'm really concerned about Zeni's health now going into lower Norfair here, Kip. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Okay, a couple things. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's go stage by stage. Number one, Super Metroid's the kind of game where if you pull everything off the way that you want to, then you don't need to like consider possible backups and stuff. One thing I don't really love about Zeni, he paused the game and turned off his 2 beams like a couple rooms prior, which makes sense if you get the lava spark, right? Because you won't have a need to pause again, right?
Right.
But especially in a racing situation, when you don't get a reset, if it's possible for you to potentially like whiff that strat, you're gonna have to pause anyway, literally to get into lower Norfair.
Sure.
So I kind of feel like it's safer to wait on it until you get to the elevator. So even if had he made the jump up, he would have lost some time on doing that strat early. Secondly, this is one of those, like, what I call sort of like a knowledge. It's an error, but like I don't blame anybody for not knowing this. It's just one of those things where it's like, how often do you think Zeni has practiced missing a lava jump and trying a second lava jump?
Right.
Knowing the timing. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it's not something that you would practice.
So issues like that do occasionally come up though in races. They're more likely to come up in races than they are in runs, because if Zeni had missed that lava jump in a run, he would have just reset. Right?
Exactly.
So anyway, this is one of those scenarios where I feel like I say this every tournament. This is a scenario where the nature of a one-run situation has implications that sometimes you don't see coming.
Oh, no question about it, Kip. We saw it there. It did not see that Namahe flame coming. I'm saying I didn't. I'm not going to say Zeni didn't, but I think he just realized a little bit too late. You can't just put the brakes on and make Samus fall really fast to avoid that flame, unfortunately. But, oh my goodness. So, totally different race now. Oats is into lower Norfair. Zeni, though, refusing to give up, is already into the climb here, heading back to bomb Torizo. But Oats is just going to be turning on the afterburners, heading to Ridley here. No need to go for anything too fancy as far as X Factoring Ridley here. Because I know both runners would love to get a 4 X Factor. Oh yeah, it's a couple missed particles there, Kip, from Oats. So yeah, he's gonna switch right back to beams.
And just in case anybody was wondering, changing back to having the ice and spacer on while you have a particle rolling around like that does change the graphic. It does not change the amount of damage, so it's still
yes.
300.
It'd be an interesting if it did. I think we'd see a lot more pausing.
This is really dangerous.
This is tough. Oats, be careful.
This is in no ways a going to be a free fight here. Oats needs to be very careful.
I kind of lost count here, Kip, but I think it's a few more charge shots. Oh, 55. This is danger close. Oats just trying to ride it out here.
I think he's got it.
Yep, oh my goodness.
Now in a race scenario, he should just straight up grab this tank right here. He's not going to, I don't think, but he should. He should. But...
He might. Oh,
okay,
Kip is going to. He heard you. Oh my goodness. Whew. Oh yeah, chat saying that Oats did take a look at the race and decided, yep, I'm gonna grab that E-Tank. Oh my goodness, what an exciting series so far with these two absolutely titanic runners. Got the #1 and the #4 in the world. It's just absolutely mental.
I feel pretty bad for Zeni here because he really was having a very, very nice run there before that unfortunate situation. And just, you know, to provide further context to what I was saying earlier, I think he should be going for the aggressive pause like early because that's what he normally does. I'm just kind of referring to like what happens if you accidentally whiff in a one run scenario. But yeah, you got to feel for somebody like that, you know, when that happens. But the flip side is he has been playing well 2 races in a row, and this does not in any way end the series. So he just needs to kind of keep his cool. And, you know, first of all, technically it's still possible to win this race. But even if this one ends up being, you know, going Oats' way, you just got to kind of flush it out of your system and get ready for the last one.
That's right. That's absolutely right. You got to play the hand you're dealt, and Zeni and Oats are both doing that. Consummate professionals, great speed runners. If you haven't already, chat, be sure to give these runners a follow if you like what you've seen here today on SpeedGaming 2. They do some incredible things with the game of Super Metroid. The reaching heights I did not know were attainable by mortals, and we've seen many displays of that here today, right here on SpeedGaming 2.
That's right. This is also kind of exciting for me. I've talked about this before, but probably not in a long time. But Oats is actually probably the runner most responsible for me deciding to even try speedrunning Super Metroid. When I first kind of started checking it out, it was when he was trying to pursue a world record back in like 2017, I think.
Yeah.
And I had just started watching Twitch. And I thought he was, you know, really entertaining, and I was just fascinated by how well he could play. And then that kind of, you know, one thing leads to another, and here we are. So it's always kind of special for me to get to watch him or do any kind of comps with him.
No, for sure, Kip, for sure. Yeah, Oats similarly was also kind of my my gateway drug to a Super Metroid speedrun.
Right.
It's not the best way to put it, but it is a way, I guess. Chat was lighting up. Chat was popping off. They were lighting up. Zeni got that ripper skip at the top of Red Tower. So even after taking a death, Zeni's still just going for the hardest strats. You got to respect it. But definitely Oats' race to lose here. And going back to what we talked about at the beginning, Kip, as we get set up for this Kraid quick kill, you know, Oats has got to win this and the following race. He'll win. But if Zeni can pull off the 2 wins in the best of 3, he will reset the bracket. It will go to a best of 1.
That's right. So an easy way to look at it would be if Oats stays on course here and wins, he only has to win one of the next potential 2 races.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So Varisuit pick up there for Oats. Zeni, though, crossing the moat again with that horizontal bomb jump. Professor School, who did wonderful, wonderful commentary in the first race with Sloters. Loved listening to both of them, saying, are we going to see 2 one-round Phantoons in a single race? I mean, it's definitely possible.
Yeah. I don't speedrun Super Metroid vanilla categories. Like, I haven't been pursuing PVs for a couple years. I mainly just play randomizer these days, but I gotta tell you, if you would have told me a few years ago that like one rounding Phantoon was like the standard strat for some runners, I literally would have not believed you. But, we've come a long way.
There's no doubt about it. I thought it was going to be like when I first heard about it, I'm like, yeah, I mean that's cool and all, but like maybe in Hundo, like I thought it was way more popular in Hundo, but then once it kind of like infiltrated any percent, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. What's next? Setting up for it again here, Kip. Oh no. Oh, so close. But it ain't over till it's over. Oats is into Meridian now, having gotten to the top of Mount Everest here, going up to the aqueduct. But yeah, wonderful 2-round there from Zeni. Definitely flexing those Phantoon chops here. But Oats having a little bit of difficulty with Phantoon on the first race. Let's see if Oats can clean it up with some D-factor strat here.
Oh,
ooh, tough pattern. Tough pattern. Double X factor though? Oh!
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I stand corrected. Maybe it's not the worst pattern. It's the worst pattern for me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's a tough pattern. The first runner I ever saw do that was a real Cutie. So shout outs to Cutie on the double Phantoon X Factor. But my goodness, we're just seeing a little bit of everything today, Kip.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, I feel like I say this a lot anytime I'm doing any kind of Super Metroid commentary or discussion. That's one of my favorite things about this game in particular is the way the physics and the movement and all the different strats work. It's a very artistic game.
Yeah.
And you really can approach it in a variety of ways and still get fast times. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's really cool to see not only new strats, but I like watching how different runners. To me, it's like watching their brain work. Like, how do I individually want to problem solve this situation? And Super Metroid's a great game for that.
I'll say it's almost like video game parkour. You just maintain Samus's momentum and speed,
right,
from room to room to room. So Rain Dance set up here for Oats against Draygon. Going to look to be landing those X Factor particles and the Shine Spark. Very nice opener. As Zeni gets to take a little breather here in the bowling cutscene. Oats, no swoops, only goops, 2 in blue. Very nice fight. Can he convert? Yes, he can. That is a spike suit for Oats and Goats.
He had the practice ROM open in between races, and he was practicing that spike suit, so you knew he was going to get it here. But I got to tell you, I mean this very sincerely. I don't think the average person understands how difficult it is to get that good at the Draygon fight. In particular, that, in my opinion, that's one of the hardest cycles to deal with. And it's just amazing to watch players like these two and some of our other great players in the community like be so consistent at killing Draygon that way.
Yeah, that was as good a Dragon fight as you'll ever see. And I think Zeni just narrowly avoiding the gravity suit skip.
He did, yeah.
On the run back here. Man, Zeni, that was awesome. But that'll do it for the G4 bosses for Oats. His resources are looking pretty good. He did pick up the Phantoon E-Tank. So running 4 tanks now, so an added layer of security. And I believe also still with 20 and 10 as far as missiles and supers.
Actually,
or is he 15?
He did not pick up the wave missiles.
Oh, he didn't.
At that time, he was behind, but I don't know if he added an extra pack. However, I will say this: having 10 super missiles right now is ludicrous. Like, he got an insane number from like Draygon. You do not enter that green gate with 10 supers very
You just
frequently.
don't. It's unheard of. So it's one thing to have a perfect dragon fight, but then to be rewarded with the drops too. That was awesome. I'll see if Oats can get this parlor strat. It's one of my favorite moves in the entire speed run. I'm just keeping the speed keep into a speed ball here. Oh, interesting. Thinking about it.
What he probably should do instead is, if we're just looking at this through the lens of it's a competition, it's a one run race, and you're trying to make the likelihood of you winning be as high as possible, what he ought to do is just kind of take it easy and use missiles when needed in some of the Metroid rooms and make sure he's got 15-10, and then he should save before Mother Brain. Because the only way for him to really throw this away at that point would be if he got sniped, or if like Mother Brain killed him, which it can happen. I mean, like, it's rare, but the Mother Brain 2 fight is not always easy. It just depends on some of the patterns. So if I was in his situation, I'd probably save. Let's be realistic. A lot of runners don't do that though. So we'll see. We will see.
So chat with confirmation that Oats' pause there with Samus's arm cannon in the air was definitely toying or taunting his own chat rather than the viewers here on SpeedGaming 2. I thought it was a little early to be striking a victory pose, but that wasn't the purpose, as it turns out, Kip.
Oh yeah. This G4 cutscene is also one of my favorite things about Super Metroid, because when you're on like a PB pace, you have to sit there and just think about it for a minute.
And you gotta stew in it.
Right. And so it's this game really puts you through a lot mentally.
Oh my gosh. This game, what an incredible speed run, and we're about to see it all come down to this. This is Torian now. Very difficult section of the game, but Oats carrying unbelievable resources into this. Yeah, not going to have any problems here, Kip. Fingers crossed, though.
That's correct, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I actually believe that, if I recall correctly, Metroids do not have nothing on their drop table. The only time that they wouldn't drop anything would be if you were completely full on regular missiles and energy, which is tier 1. Tier 2 drops do not increase based on being full on tier 1, and so sometimes you could get nothing because they just didn't drop supers or power bombs, but it's not because they refuse to drop something else. So I think every time you kill a Metroid, you're getting something as long as you have tier 1 drops available.
Gotcha. That makes sense. But yeah, as you said, Kip, Oats did skip the wave missile because he was behind at the time. That's a free 7 seconds if your opponent picks it up, but showing full resources that you're heading into baby skip. Curious if he's going to opt to still go for the 3 jump here. I think Oats is maybe very close to a 3 jump main on this Stashio skip. Oh, that is just dirty.
That's incredible.
So clean, it's dirty, Kip. That is really something else. So Zeni's still doing the upper Norfair cleanup here into Speed Booster, and Oats wisely taking the save before Mother Brain.
By the way, I stand corrected. Apparently nothing is on the drop table, but it's only 4%. And since you typically, in most cases, don't, like, energy and regular missiles aren't really a concern, you're usually mostly paying attention to super missiles anyway. So it can happen, but it's a low percent chance.
An interesting kind of backup setup here for the Zeb skip. Oats is through, though. I think missed the down back to get that first attempt at the Zeb skip. So tight ammo here, has to land everything, but does so. Kip, Oats is through to Mother Brain 2. It's going to be 60-shot fight, no extra ammo here, and hopefully Mother Brain is not feeling too ferocious today.
Yeah, the turret RNG was very good there, and very kind, and then hopefully we will see Mother Brain 2 cooperate. One thing that, you know, on the surface, if you don't run the game or haven't watched a ton, might not be apparent is, you know, you can definitely die on Mother Brain 2. A lot of times people think that the scariest thing is the red beam. Usually, if you get killed at Mother Brain 2 on a speed run, it's usually due to onion rings.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
They do not have, or they don't provide iframes. And if you get caught in a tricky situation, you can take, I think they do 20 damage each, so you can take 80 straight. And if you got a baby skip and you're only on 3 tanks, that's more than you have available to you.
Yes, Kip alluded to, you gotta have 301 energy to survive Mother Brain's rainbow attack. Remember when I said Mother Brain, don't be ferocious, Kip? Yeah, she was not listening to me. But Oats is into the catch-up phase here.
Yeah, usually this phase, it's easier to deal with, especially if all she does is red beam. It can get a little tricky if she does some... Yeah, it can get tricky if she adds some stuff in, but most of the time, if it's just the red beams, it's not too hard to deal with, and Oats made it through. Good job.
It did. And Zeni with the redemption, Lava Spark, doing a little dance at the lower Norfair, going back out as Oats completes the Mother Brain 2 fight into the baby cutscene. Look at this from Zeni. Practice ROM be darned, Kip.
Indeed.
He's going all the way back. Where's he going?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call the new experimental 80% route. We're not sure on the data yet how it's going to pan out.
Very avant-garde. It's kind of like free-form jazz, you know, just run it the way you want to.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I think chat figured it out. I think he's racing Oats to the ship right now. Yeah, I have not seen this before, but this is really something. Oats, though, just a Mother Brain 3 fight away and an escape sequence from taking this race too.
Yeah, and obviously, Hockey, you and I are only going to be on this particular race together for a few more minutes as Oats finishes up. I would like to say that even though I'm a big person that, in terms of like competition, I really like all the different tournaments that go on, whether I'm in them or not. That's my favorite part about Super Metroid. And even though I have not been in this tournament, I would like to give a shout out to all the people at SG Live and the folks that organize this tournament. There's a lot of work that goes on that leads to us being able to have something like this. So I just want to give a shout out and say I really appreciate everybody who was involved in this. Even though I'm not in the tournament, it's cool to see people, you know, contributing to the Super Metroid community and giving us all something to be excited about.
Oh, no question about it, Kip. It's always wonderful to see the community come together and come out for these tournaments. We had an unbelievable number of talented runners qualifying. Had 32 runners make the bracket, and a double elimination tournament gave any of those runners a chance to make a very, very deep run. We actually saw MGA as the sole remaining KPDR runner make it to like the fourth or fifth round of the bottom bracket. Maining crate first. It was really remarkable to see. But Oats on the escape now, Kip. Into the Leodoc's room, just a shine spark away and a parlor away from the landing site.
Yeah, and again, like, all of the different safeties or different adjustments. I mean, he literally even sat on the ship for a few seconds, and like, you think about Phantoon didn't go the way he wanted, etc. And yet this is still almost a 42. Like, yeah. It's amazing how far we've come. But big congratulations to Oats on taking this one. It's going to be 1-1. And so GG to Oats. And Hockey, it's been a pleasure comment with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, Kip. Like you said, Oats finishes in first with an official race time of 43:12. That ties the series at 1 game each. We may have a decisive game 3. We may have a bracket reset and a decisive game 4. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we've got Mishrak and Zost coming up on the microphone. Don't go too far. We're going to keep the action rolling here on Speed Gaming 2. And yeah, Kip, always a pleasure doing comms with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Hockey, great to see you, man. And maybe we'll see you again here in a couple games, depending on what happens. But yeah, y'all stick around. The next race is going to be phenomenal. Really excited to hear Zost and Mish on comms together. So yeah, stick around, guys.